My name is Evan Stauffer. I'm the producer of Get Bakin. Today I'm joined with
Bobby Phillips.
Will Battershell.
Today we are making smash burgers and homemade mac and cheese. Let's get baking.
All right, everybody, it's time to make mac and cheese. Mac and cheese is probably my favorite food of all time. Maybe not number one, but it's definitely in the top 5. I really enjoy making it. This is my favorite dish to cook by myself. I really like making mac and cheese and bringing it to my friends' places. So what you'll need for your mac and cheese, if you make it the way I do, first off, you gotta have your noodles. That's pretty self-explanatory. I use elbows, because to me that's more true to what mac and cheese is. But you do you on the type of noodles you like. Next up, for the sauce, you're gonna need evaporated milk. I always call it condensed milk. Do not get condensed milk. It'll turn out terrible. Don't ask me how I know that. It just will. I'm using fat-free because coming up next is the cheese we're using has a really high fat content, which is really good, and it really tastes really nice because it also melts a little bit quicker with a higher fat content in the cheese. We got butter for the noodles. Again, we're all about healthier folks. Your can opener, your stir for the cheese, and then your seasonings. Number one, the most important thing in my mac and cheese is paprika. I think it makes it taste really good. Next up, garlic powder. There's probably a way you could use actual garlic or jarlic, if you know what that is. There's probably a way you can use that, but I just use garlic powder. A little bit of oregano, only a splash, and then we use black pepper. You might be asking, Bobby, where's the salt? I don't really put salt in here because the amount of salt in this cheese. We're using mainly sharp cheddar cheese, and then a little bit of Swiss and Gruyere, not a whole lot, but I like the flavor profile it adds. So first off, obviously, you gotta get your water boiling on the stove. I'm heating it up right now. We're almost there. But next up is the evaporated milk. And the evaporated milk is a little bit weird because you can't let it boil, but you gotta keep it warm on the stove, if that makes any sense to anybody. So first off, we're gonna crack this open and put it on the stove. First try on the can opener. If you don't spill the evaporated milk everywhere. You take it and you put it in your little sauce pot back here. And you got all that poured in. I like to go to a medium to high-ish heat. It doesn't have to be exact. What you're gonna be wanting to look for with the evaporated milk is you wanna see it when it starts steaming. You don't want it boiling because if it gets boiling, it starts tasting really weird. It gets really weird and clumpy. We don't want that for mac and cheese. We don't want that for pretty much any dish I think you could make. But you gotta be watching it. You gotta be vigilant when it starts steaming because that's when you gotta kick in high gear. You can start seeing the evaporated milk steam a little bit. That means it's cheese time. We're gonna be using 2 bags of cheese primarily today. But the big thing right now is once you put this cheese in the evaporated milk, you just gotta keep stirring it. Do not overload your evaporated milk with cheese because it will get weird and you want it to melt slowly into the cheese. You don't want to just dump the whole bag in. Otherwise, it's no bueno. But yeah, you just start mixing it. The reason I have to stir so much as we reduce a little bit of the heat is because otherwise the fat kind of gets separated from the evaporated milk and it gets really weird. But we're going to put a little bit more cheese in here now. Okay, that was good right there. And we're just going to keep stirring. And this is like 99% of what we have left to do. We're still waiting on our water to start boiling for the noodles. This usually takes, the total process of this, once you get everything heated up, like the water boiling and your milk, probably takes a total of like 10 to 15 minutes. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, but it feels a lot more tedious because you're stirring so much. All right, so we're 1 bag of cheese down for the sauce. That means we're about to start getting the seasonings. The one we're gonna be using the most today is paprika. I use a lot of paprika in this mac and cheese sauce. So we got a decent amount of paprika in there. Again, I don't have exact measurements, just measure with your heart, folks. It's really fun. And while this is going on, we're getting closer and closer to the water boiling, as you can hear me spill a little bit onto the burner. So that paprika is nice and mixed in. So next, I'm gonna grab just all the seasonings over here just to make my life a little bit easier. Next most you're gonna use is pepper. Again, just adds a nice little bit of texture to the mac and cheese. And we're gonna add a little bit of pepper at the very end as well when we combine the sauce with the noodles. But we're gonna go ahead and put a little bit of pepper in. Then next up, we're gonna be using garlic powder. Only a dash of that. You don't want too much because it can kind of become overpowering. So you mix that in. And then this is when the kitchen starts to smell really good because you have all the seasonings in it. And then all your roommates and all your friends come in and they're like, yo, where are you cooking, Bobby? And you're like, oh, of course, it's mac and cheese. And they're like, oh, it's your mac and cheese? You make that all the time. It's awesome. And then finally, only a little bit of a dash of oregano. Add a little bit of green to this dish. And as I'm saying this, our water is getting closer and closer to boiling. But as I mentioned, we are 1 bag of cheddar cheese down. That means it's time to open the second bag. So you open that up and you're back to the bread and butter of what we were talking about earlier. Only adding in a little bit at a time so you don't overload your cheese sauce. You just want to put a little bit in and then you just go right back to stirring it. And you just combine it all. So we got a little bit more cheese in here. And that looks about ready for our noodles to go in. So we're gonna do 1 big stir. Then we're gonna take our noodles that we got. And you're gonna dump about 3/4 of this box in the, a little bit more. And a few. Okay, that's good right there. All right, so finally we've gotten most of the cheese we want inside of our cheese mixture. The last one we have is the Swiss and Gruyere mix. We only got about 1/4 of what's in this bag because we're going for the cheddar cheese flavor. But we're gonna put about 1/4 of this bag in there. It just kind of balances out. There we go, you got your cheese open. And you just put a little bit in there. So you're gonna mix that in, and once that's mixed in, you're pretty much done with your cheese sauce. However, as mentioned before, you're gonna wanna keep stirring this the entire time. So we're almost done with the noodles. We're looking at our timer really quick. We got about 40 seconds on the noodles. So I'm gonna give them 1 quick stir right here. We are almost all ready to go. We're gonna stir this really quick. I like to test my noodles right before draining them just in case if they need a little bit more time. So I'm moving over to the sink really quick. And you eat that. I like the consistency of that. We're gonna reduce our heat severely on the cheese sauce. But you take your noodles with your pot holders and you drain noodles. So your noodles are all drained, your cheese sauce is done. You're basically there. You put your noodles in the pot. To make this even more healthy, what I do really quickly, you get the butter, you get about this much of butter, throw it in there, it'll melt with everything else. Your cheese sauce is done, you can cut it off, lift it, and then just dump it in the pot you boiled the noodles in after you've drained them. And so now you're basically done. You mix your cheese sauce and you mix it all together. And your mac and cheese is done. I'm gonna add a little bit of pepper in here just for our own personal flavor. There you go. That's basically how you make my mac and cheese. I'm gonna finish mixing this and put the pepper in and you're all good to go. All right, so you have your mac and cheese done and it's ready to serve. Just get a bowl, a fork, and some friends. You can enjoy it. I like to give myself a pretty good helping of mac and cheese. As mentioned, in my top 5 favorite foods. So definitely filling. People will really like it and I really enjoy. So hope you all enjoy. Good luck making it.
Today we're making your not so average smash burger. So obviously we have the burger, but the one thing you would normally do is immediately smash it. Today we're not doing that. So we're gonna let them cook on the grill first, and then after they're done cooking on the grill, we are gonna put them in the bun with the cheese, and then we're gonna smash it all together. So it's gonna be kind of like a smashed grilled cheeseburger, if you would say. So I use Worcestershire sauce. I crumbled up a handful of Ritz crackers. Then I have a special seasoning. It's like a butcher blend seasoning that I like to put in, and it really gives these burgers great flavor. Anyway, we're gonna flip the burgers. I like to cook them half the time you're supposed to and then flip them, just because I feel like it cooks better the more you flip it. And then about the next flip or so, we'll throw the bacon on, because the bacon shouldn't take but like 5 minutes max. And then yeah, it should be done. The burgers kind of fall apart a little bit, it's okay. It don't matter anyway because we're smashing them at the end. But with the burgers cooking, we are gonna throw some bacon now onto the grill. And the best thing about the Blackstone is that you don't need to oil it ever, because it basically stays seasoned, stayed oil. You kind of clean it with the oil after you use it to prevent it from rusting. So at this point it's already oiled up and the bacon grease is dripping into all of the burgers. Give the bacon a nice flip. It's easier when you can stack it up like this, because you can just catch it with the spatula and just all flip it at once. I like to make sure that the burgers are cooked as evenly as possible on both sides. Just giving them all a nice little press, making sure they cook evenly around the grill. For my bacon, I usually like to go bacon that has the least amount of fat as possible, just because, yeah, the fat is good, but one, it's really oily, and two, I think the less fat and the more content of pork that you have is the better. I almost like to slightly overcook the bacon, just because once all the grease gets off of it, it's gonna get nice and firm, and it's easier to split into pieces to put onto the burger. We're just gonna like give that another minute or so, and then we'll take the bacon off and start prepping the grill to smash the burgers with this handy dandy smasher that I have. Take the bacon, and I like to lay it on the paper towel away from the trash. Just give the burgers one more good flip into the bacon grease, so they're gonna get a little bit of a bacon flavor on them. Give all the bacon a nice little pat down to get the excess oil off of it. And then as you can see, most of the burgers have stayed about the correct form, and the other half have fallen apart, but that's just fine. I can come over here and get the buns. And this is where now you're probably questioning yourself, how is this gonna work? And I've done this once and I thought this was so much better than an original smash burger. Just because I feel like it cooks the flavor into it so much better. So what I like to do is now I want to turn the heat all the way down, because I don't want to burn the buns when I put them up there. That'd be the least thing you want. But with the bacon grease, it's gonna help crisp them up. And if all your burgers fall apart, you can just kind of play like it's a jigsaw puzzle and put it all back together. It doesn't really matter once you smash it anyway. And then next will be the cheese. It's not cut pretty at all, but who cares? But I'm a big Gouda fan, so that's why I chose Gouda today. I did have a jalapeno cheddar cheese that I was gonna use also, but just felt like the Gouda matched the vibe a little bit more. Then you make each burger. Now that they're pressed, I like to always give them one flip to toast the other side. And then once the other side's done toasting, you got smash burgers. And then you can just put whatever type of condiment you want on them. And yeah, and then you can come over here. I'm a big onion guy, so we got a bunch of onions over here. Throw you an onion up there, and bang. Now you got a great smash burger. I'm making more burgers for the crew behind the camera.
And I think I made enough mac and cheese for everybody, but I really appreciate all of you watching. Thank you so much.
And make sure to catch future episodes of Get Bakin on App TV.
Bye.